President Joe Biden holding his first official news conference since his disastrous debate performance last month.
He once again reaffirmed his place in the presidential race despite growing calls for him to step aside. Good Day's Robert Moses joins us now with more. And Robert, the president had some strong moments, but one thing everyone's talking about are those slip-ups.
Yeah, that's for sure, Tashani and Dan. And the president says that if his doctors believe that he should have another neurological exam, he will agree to one. Now, during the press conference, no question he showed a deep understanding of foreign policy. He is a veteran of politics in Washington. He has been around the world plenty of times. But it is his mistakes that are receiving the most attention.
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president. So I think she was not qualified to be president.
President Joe Biden committed that gaffe in response to the first question he received at what was billed as the most important press conference of his presidency. Later, when a reporter pointed out his mistake, the president said, in essence, that former President Donald Trump is known to flub responses too.
Listen to him.
The former president pounced on the error. "Great job, Joe," he wrote sarcastically on Truth Social, to which the president replied on X, "By the way, yes, I know the difference. One's a prosecutor and the other's a felon." Before the press conference even started, President Biden conflated two different people.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. We're going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway, Mr. President,
I'm better.
You are a hell of a lot better.
Since the president's disastrous debate performance 15 days ago, every word he utters receives outsized scrutiny. Within minutes of the press conference concluding, Congressman Jim Himes of Connecticut, Eric Sorensen of Illinois, and Scott Peters of California became the latest House Democrats to publicly call for him to bow out. But the president remains defiant.
I'm not in this for my legacy. I'm in this to complete the job I started.
And what might get him to reconsider?
No, unless they came back and said, there's no way you can win.
But many Democrats believe precisely that, and they've said so publicly and privately. Unmoved, the president believes he can and will beat former President Trump again.
My schedule has been full bore. I've done, where's Trump been? Riding around in his golf cart, filling out his scorecard before he hits the ball?
The president is already looking ahead to their next debate.
I just got to pace myself a little more. Pace myself. In the next debate, I'm not going to be traveling into 15 time zones a week before.
So he's already looking ahead toward that debate. He does not sound like a candidate who is planning to bow out. According to a filing made public yesterday, his opponent, former President Trump, is asking Judge Juan Merchan to throw out his hush money conviction here in New York in light of the Supreme Court's recent decision granting former presidents broad immunity. Former President Trump was originally to have been sentenced here yesterday, but the judge postponed that until September. That is, if a sentence, quote, is still necessary. Tashani?
All right, Robert, thank you.